Once upon a time, in the ancient city of Rome, there lived a man named Marcus. He was not a king or a warrior, but an ordinary man with an extraordinary way of thinking. Marcus was a Stoic, a follower of the philosophy that taught him how to face life's uncertainties with calm and courage. His story is one we can all learn from, especially when we feel lost in the chaos of the unknown. Marcus woke up one morning to find that the market where he worked had burned down overnight. All his goods, his livelihood, were gone. For a moment, his heart raced and his mind filled with fear. How would he feed his family? How would he survive? But then he remembered the teachings of his Stoic mentors. He took a deep breath and asked himself, "What is within my control?" The fire was not. The loss was not. But his reaction, his thoughts and actions, were entirely his own. Instead of despairing, Marcus chose to see the situation differently. He told himself, "This is not a disaster, but an opportunity. Now I am free to start anew, to rebuild something better." He gathered what little he had left and began working small jobs around the city. He saved every coin, and within a year he had a new stall in the market, one that was even more successful than the last. Marcus understood something fundamental about uncertainty. We cannot control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, our judgments, our efforts, our desires. Other things, like the weather, other people's actions or accidents, are not. When we focus only on what we can control, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. One day, Marcus received news that his son, who was traveling abroad, had fallen ill. The messenger could not say if the boy would recover. Again, fear gripped Marcus. But again, he turned to Stoicism. He reminded himself that worrying would not heal his son. Instead, he focused on what he could do: send money for medicine, write letters of encouragement, and trust in the skills of the physicians. He prepared his mind for any outcome, recovery or loss, knowing that either way he would endure. This is another Stoic lesson: Premeditatio malorum, the practice of imagining the worst-case scenario. By doing this, we strip fear of its power. If we accept that loss, failure, or pain might come, we are no longer paralyzed by the thought of them. Marcus imagined his son's death, not to torment himself, but to prepare his heart. And when his son did recover, the joy was even greater because he had not wasted his days in helpless anxiety. Years passed, and Marcus grew older. The city around him changed. Emperors rose and fell, wars came and went, friends passed away. Yet through it all, he remained steady. People often asked him how he stayed so calm in turbulent times. His answer was always the same: "I focus only on what is mine to do. The rest I let go." One winter, a great storm flooded the streets of Rome. Many houses were destroyed, including Marcus's. As he stood in the rain, looking at the ruins of his home, a neighbor cried, "How can you be so calm? Everything is lost." Marcus smiled faintly and said, "No, not everything. I still have my mind, my hands, and my will. A house can be rebuilt. But if I lose my peace, that is the true disaster." The Stoics believed that obstacles are not just things to endure, but opportunities to practice virtue. Every difficulty is a chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Marcus lived this truth until the end of his days. When he finally lay on his deathbed surrounded by his family, he was not afraid. He had trained his whole life for this moment, to face the ultimate uncertainty with grace. So what can we learn from Marcus? First, we must accept that uncertainty is part of life. Nothing is permanent, and the future is always unknown. Second, we must focus only on what we can control: our actions, our thoughts, our attitudes. Third, we must prepare our minds for hardship, so when it comes, we are ready. And finally, we must see every challenge as a chance to practice strength and wisdom. The next time you face uncertainty, whether it's a job loss, a health scare, or a personal struggle, remember Marcus. Ask yourself, what can I control? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity? What would a Stoic do? If you practice these principles, you too can navigate life's storms with the calm of a Stoic. Uncertainty will never disappear. But with Stoicism, we can learn to walk through it, not as victims of fate, but as masters of our own minds. That is the timeless lesson of Marcus, and of all who choose to live with wisdom and courage.